remember to turn on all notifications so you don't miss a video. Does the World Cup prove Blue Lock wrong? In this essay, I'll be doing research to answer that question. In this video, I'll be looking at what Ego preaches in chapter 1 of the manga. Here is a collection of his quotes in order. My job is to make Japan a team capable of winning the World Cup. Japan only requires one thing to become the strongest powerhouse in football, and that is the creation of a revolutionary striker. Football is at its core a sport about scoring goals, even at the expense of your teammates. The best player is the one who scores the most goals. So from all of those quotes, I believe the most logical summary of what he's saying is, quote, if Japan has a revolutionary striker, a player that scores the most goals, then they will win the World Cup, end quote. I'm sure people could nitpick me for this by saying he only meant Japan, but I'm going to expand this argument to any country, not just Japan, in order to see if the 2022 World Cup proved Ego right or wrong. I think this expansion is not only fair, but correct, because Ego goes on to quote Noel Noah, Eric Cantona, and Pele to support his argument. He even brings up Pele winning 3 World Cups. None of these are Japanese players. Based on all this, I don't think it'd be incorrect to conclude that Ego and the Blue Lock story are arguing that what it takes to win a World Cup is a revolutionary striker. Now, I'll be analyzing the 2022 World Cup to see if his results and data agree with Ego. Here's what I'm going to do. I'll look at the World Cup champions and their lineup. The people in the front line are the forwards. The striker is only the center one, but I'll be lenient and count the left and right forwards as candidates for the revolutionary striker. After finding my candidates, I will look at the team's entire World Cup run and record 2 things. The first will be the top scorers, who scored the most overall. I'm not counting any goals from penalty shootouts to be fair. In a PK shootout, everyone gets a free goal opportunity that they didn't work for. Plus, being good at PKs doesn't mean you're good at scoring goals in an actual game. Someone can be a revolutionary striker and be garbage or average at PK shootouts and vice versa. Counting the most goals fits with what Ego defined as a revolutionary striker, but I'll actually look at a second metric to help Ego out. If a striker plays 10 games and scores all 10 in one game, I'm assuming Ego wouldn't count them as a revolutionary striker. I believe that he expects the striker to consistently perform well. This assumption is based on the fact that he quoted Noel Noah, who was a Ballon d'Or winner, and Pele, who was called the best player ever before Messi and Ronaldo. The Ballon d'Or is given to the footballer of the year, and to win one, you have to consistently play well. People vote, and I'm certain that most voters aren't going to vote for a player that only played really well sometimes. All of this is to say that Noel Noah most likely had to play consistently well to win a Ballon d'Or and to earn his status as a revolutionary striker. As for Pele, to be considered the best player in the world, he had to be consistently good. That is why the second metric will be who has the most games where they scored. So the 2 metrics will be goals overall and most games where they scored. If one of the forwards tops either one of these charts, I'll move forward and take a deeper look past the statistics and examine things like, did this person top the other metric? Who's supposed to be the revolutionary striker? Who else was performing well? How many games they had no goals? And more. But if none of the forwards top either of these charts, then my research ends there. By simplifying the game to how much a player scored and in how many games, I am actually doing Blue Lock an immense favor, because if I were to look at other positions and factors that contribute to winning the World Cup, or simply being a good team, the theory would quickly crumble. Anyone with a basic understanding of football knows that. Those close saves by the keepers and defenders definitely contributed to many of the teams moving forward, but I'll ignore that to give Blue Lock a fighting chance. And before you say anything stupid in the comments trying to defend Blue Lock, I already have an in-depth video on it, so watch that first before acting stupid here. Argentina won the World Cup this year. On their team, there are 2 players who scored multiple goals, Messi and Alvarez. Messi scored 7 goals and Alvarez scored 4. Messi scored in 6 games and Alvarez scored in 3 games. Both of them are forwards on their team. Here, Messi has scored the most and in the most games, making him a revolutionary striker for his team. Messi is titled the greatest of all time, so he's supposed to be their revolutionary striker. Therefore, Blue Lock's theory checks out. But wait, if we look at the stat sheet before the final, where Messi scored twice, Messi had 5 goals while Alvarez had 4. That's 1 less goal than the revolutionary striker. In my first video mentioning Blue Lock, I said Messi had never won a World Cup because his team wasn't strong enough, despite him being a revolutionary striker. Well, now that he has help, he's made it to the finals. Up until just before the final, Messi had another striker putting in nearly as much work as him this year. Messi and Alvarez are like Batman and Robin. Of course, if you remove the revolutionary striker, Messi, Argentina doesn't make it to the finals. But if you remove Alvarez, who isn't the revolutionary striker, then Argentina still doesn't make it to the finals, despite having Messi. So, based on just this data, do you need a revolutionary striker to win a cup? Yeah, but the data suggests that you need multiple. not just one that carries the team on his back. France was the runner-up this year. I'll also look at their stats to give Blue Lock more of a fighting chance, despite them coming in second. On their team, there were two players who scored multiple goals, Mbappe and Giroud. Mbappe scored 8 and Giroud scored 4. Mbappe scored in 4 games, and Giroud scored in 3 games. Both of these players are forwards, although Giroud is the striker. Mbappe would classify as a revolutionary striker for France, since he tops the goals metric and the games metric. He was also supposed to be the revolutionary striker based on his performance outside of this tournament, being hailed as the next generation's best player. But once again, if you look at the stats before the final, where Mbappe scored a hat-trick, Mbappe had 5 goals and 3 games scored in, while Giroud had 4 games and 3 games scored in. Mbappe was a revolutionary striker, but Giroud was right behind him with only 1 less goal. Once again, a Batman and Robin duo. The strikers really showed up in this final match, each of them scoring at least 2, boosting their stats. Mbappe even won the Golden Boot for having the most goals in the tournament. But as the data shows, simply having one player carry the team is not a viable option for victory. Japan only requires one thing to become the strongest powerhouse in football, and that is the creation of a revolutionary striker. That's what Ego said. He didn't say multiple strikers, he said meaning just one. The whole Blue Lock camp is to create one elite striker. Even if we look at the stats a little deeper, there were games that France won without a goal from Mbappe. Those were the quarterfinals and semifinals. The same goes for Argentina. They beat Poland without a goal from Messi. And if I want to take it a step further, we can look at the PK shootouts, which was the deciding factor in Argentina's win this year. They won this World Cup because their goalie was a beast when it came to blocking PKs. He saved them in the quarterfinal shootout against Netherlands and in the final shootout against France. Martinez blocked 2 kicks against Netherlands and blocked 1 against France. This is impossible to ignore because when a game goes to penalties, they are the deciding factor in who wins the game. In conclusion, based on these simplified statistics I used, Blue Lock was half right for this World Cup. You need a revolutionary striker, but that's not all you need to win. You need multiple goal scorers, and probably a keeper that's a beast at saving penalties. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and help me revolutionize the manga industry by buying my manga and spreading the word. All important links will be in the description.